In this video, I'm showing you exactly what the Genesis JSON file is and how you use it to initialize your own private network with Go Ethereum. The Genesis JSON file, which is here on the right side, let me make it a little bit bigger, is a configuration file for Go Ethereum, and it's just called Genesis JSON. It could also be called config.json, and it defines how your Genesis block will look like to initialize your own private chain. It has a Coinbase parameter, which is not required, but this defines where mining goes to when you have this account. Currently it's set to 1, which is bogus value. It's just here for demo purposes. The difficulty, on the other hand, defines how difficult it is to mine a new block. And the next important parameter is the gas limit. If you are doing any transactions on a blockchain, then you're required to pay gas to the miners. But there is an upper limit to pay the gas. There's an upper limit to the amount of assembler opcodes the miner is allowed to do. So in this case, it's a lot of gas, but the standard gas till last week was around 4.7 million, and this week it got increased to 6.7 million. That means we can do a little bit more complex smart contracts now, but even with this limit, it's very hard to write very complex code. So still, the gas limit is the limiting factor to write very, very complex smart contracts. The nonce is a parameter you need for initializing the blockchain, together with the mix hash and the parent hash, which are both 0 in this case because it's the first block. The timestamp is not really important right now. It defines at which time this block was generated. So in this case, it's 0, which is around 1970 as far as I know. But you could also set it to the current timestamp. It's not relevant. With alloc, you could potentially add ether to pre-allocated accounts. So you could pre-allocate ether to accounts if you have some. I've set this empty because I don't need it. With this difficulty, even on a low-end computer, mining some ether, like a few thousand ether, works extremely fast, which is enough for our private network. And then since Geth 1.6, we have a new config object, which is enforced. Don't set the chain ID to 1 because 1 is the mainnet. Set it to something else like 15, 16, 2000, 5000, whatever you want to, but not to 1, 2, or 3. And the rest of the parameters are not important, but add them as they are here. The homestead block is 0 and the other blocks are 0 as well. Now, we use this Genesis JSON file to initialize our own private network. I'm on a console on the left side here, and I've increased the font size so you can see it very properly. And let me quickly show you what I have in this directory. I have another subdirectory called chain data, and this chain data directory is completely empty, so there's nothing inside. I'm here on Windows, and I've installed the git bash in case you're wondering what it is, but you can also use any other bash or the command line tool of Windows. It doesn't make any difference. So this chain data directory is empty. And so I've here a Genesis JSON file in my empty directory. My empty directory is called empty because it was empty before. And underneath I have a chain data directory. And the way you use Geth now, let me go back up here. The way you use Geth now is you say a data directory, which you can give it as parameter, and you say you want a chain data saved in a specific data directory. That's not really combined with the Genesis file. You can also give Geth data directory just to download the mainnet or the testnet. But in this case, we are going to initialize our private network with this Genesis JSON file into this chain data directory. And to do that, we say to Geth, we want to have our data directory here in our chain data directory. And then we tell Geth where it can find the Genesis JSON file, which is the config file. We write init, and then you give it a path to the Genesis JSON file. And the Genesis JSON file cannot be in the chain data directory, so that's quite important. You have to have it outside of the chain data directory. That must be an empty directory. And then you basically say Genesis JSON, and because the Genesis JSON file is in the same directory as this empty directory, then I don't have to give it a separate absolute path, but I could also do it like this. Then I load and start the thing, and it will write some output on the console, and it also writes successfully wrote Genesis state. So the program will just end, and then you can start it with geth chain data. So once you start, I have a mistake. Data dir is chain data, and you don't initialize again. So once it's starting like this, you will see I started geth now with the data directory chain data, which I initialized before. And it's just starting up normally. It will print out again my IPC endpoint, which on Windows is in an IPC pipe, and on Mac and Linux it usually in the chain data directory here, which you gave geth as a data directory. So there will be an IPC file inside. And it's also opening the port 3033 again, but it will not do anything because you are on a different chain. You are on your own private chain with your own chain ID 15. And this is basically how you start your private network.